Welcome to Life Happens, Money Matters. I'm your host, Adele Williams. This podcast is presented by American Financial Pathways, where we help you understand the financial culture in America so you can make informed financial decisions with confidence. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you've been searching for weeks, maybe even months, driving through neighborhoods, scrolling through listings, walking through house after house. Then one afternoon, you finally find it. Your dream home. You picture family dinners around the kitchen table, watching your children play in the backyard, celebrating birthdays, Christmas mornings, years of memories inside those walls. You can already imagine calling it home. Everything feels perfect. Then your realtor looks at you and says, "Uh-oh." And suddenly, everything changes. Not because you picked the wrong house, not because someone else bought it, but because something many people don't think about until it's too late. Their credit. Imagine standing there, confused. You ask, "What do you mean, uh-oh?" The lender explains that there are concerns about your credit. Nothing about the house changed. The house is still beautiful. The neighborhood, still perfect. The dream hasn't changed, but suddenly it feels much further away than it did just a few minutes ago. As disappointing as that moment can be, the good news is that is often preventable. And that's exactly why we're talking about credit today. So what is credit? Think of your credit as your financial reputation. It is a history of how you manage borrowed money over time. Have you paid your bills on time? Have you borrowed responsibly? Have you shown lenders that you're someone who follows through on financial commitments? From that information, a credit score is created. That score helps lenders decide how much risk is involved in lending you money. It is important to remember your credit score isn't measuring your value as a person. It isn't measuring whether you're a good parent, a hard worker, or a trustworthy friend. It is simply a financial tool used to predict how likely you are to repay borrowed money. Many people think credit only matters when buying a home, but it affects much more than that. It can influence whether you are approved for an apartment, whether you qualify for an auto loan, the interest rate on your credit cards, sometimes even your insurance rates or utility deposits. In some situations, it may even be reviewed during the hiring process for a job you applied. A stronger credit score doesn't just make borrowing easier, it can literally save you thousands of dollars over the life of a loan. One of the biggest mistakes I see is that people fall in love with the house before they know where they stand financially. They've already imagined where the couch will go. They're talking about paint colors. They're planning birthday parties. They've already moved into the home emotionally before they've been approved financially. Then they discover their credit isn't where it needs to be. That's heartbreaking. Not because they can't eventually buy a home, but because many times that disappointment could have been avoided. Before you schedule another showing, before you call a realtor, before you start shopping, know your credit. Not because you're expecting bad news, but because information gives you options. If your score is excellent, wonderful. Move forward with confidence. If it needs improvement, that's okay too. Now you know where you're starting, and that's always better than discovering it after you fall in love with a home. Once you checked your credit, don't panic if the number isn't what you hoped for. Many people immediately ask, how did I end up with this score? Sometimes it's because of a missed payment. Sometimes it's because we carry too much credit card debt. Sometimes it's because we applied for several loans in a short amount of time. But there's another reason that surprises a lot of people. Maybe you've never really built credit. I see this quite often with young adults just getting started, and with many people who have moved to the United States from another country. Many of us were raised with the idea that if you can't pay cash, you should. And honestly, that's not a bad advice. If you can avoid unnecessary debt, that's usually a wise financial decision. But here is where the financial culture in America is different. A credit score isn't simply measuring whether you owe people money. It is measuring whether you have demonstrated that you can borrow money and pay it back responsibly. So imagine someone who has paid cash for almost everything their entire life. They have never missed a payment because they have never had a payment. They have never financed a vehicle. They have never used a credit card. They have never taken out a loan. In many cultures, that is considered financially responsible. But here in the United States, the credit system doesn't have enough information to evaluate. Instead of seeing years of responsible borrowing, it simply sees very little credit history. And surprisingly, that can work against you. Not because you've done something wrong, but because the system hasn't yet had the opportunity to see how you manage credit. That's why understanding the financial culture here is so important. It's not just about borrowing money just to borrow money. It's about learning how to use credit wisely. So when life presents opportunities, you have already built a financial history that helps open those doors. This week's financial step is simple. Check your credit. Know your score. Review your credit report. Understand where you stand today. Whether your score is at 805 or 605, your first step is exactly the same. Know it. Because once you know where you're starting, you can build a plan for where you're going. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about next week. We will discuss what builds credit and what hurts credit, and some simple habits that can help strengthen your financial future over time. Because nobody dreams about having an 800 credit score. They dream about what that score makes possible. A home, a reliable car, more opportunities, more choices. Thank you for joining me on Life Happens, Money Matters. Because remember, when life happens, money matters. I'll see you next week.